Good morning. This is red oak from my friend Chris Bardock's property, and today's the day I'm going to take this big heavy hunk of wood and cut it down to like 2.5 inches and split it down the middle and try to make 2 staves out of it. And if I'm successful and it's easy, what I'll do today too is I'll show you how I steam these logs, these staves, to get the winter bark off. I steam them for an hour and 15 minutes in a tube, and usually it peels off. So it's the first time I'm working with the red oak other than making board bows. So I kind of got a line where I'm going to go. We'll see how it splits down. I made a little starter cut with the chainsaw. And that seems to be working. We'll get a nice cut, beautiful cut. Works good. Sometimes you just need a little help. Wow, that worked out beautiful. I can't believe how nice this worked out. Okay, I'm going to shut it off, and I'm going to run a saw down the middle of this to try and split it in 2 to make 2 staves. I marked the center on each end. I'm going to let this hang here. I'm going to have to draw a mark with a marker because I don't think this is doing a good job of leaving a line. Okay, this end has a really big dip. This is 83 inches long, and the wider part is always the bottom of the tree, it grows up, or a limb closest to the tree. So this will be the part that, after I split it in half, we're going to take and shorten it so it'll fit in the steamer. So several times I used the chalk line, and I got with the bright sun, I have a line I can track, and we're going to cut it down the middle. Going to clean it up and split it. Out of all the woods that I've split and worked with, I got to say the oak, this red oak, is like splits like butter. That's it. It's all done. Just was a couple of loose fibers there. Okay. So it's split. Really easy, beautiful to split. Okay, my steam tube that I have here that I got to hook up is 76 inches long. I hook it up to my little Wagner steamer. I'll show you when I got it set up. But you see this log here, that's kind of where it dips. We're going to see how long. This is the end we're going to cut off. All right, so I think it would be fair to say, even if I made it longer than normal, that if I cut it off at 70 inches, it'll be fine. So I'm going to cut it off at 71 since we have room. And then what I'll do is, once we cut it off and I peel the bark, I could trim it more. So I have this big, heavy, ridiculous looking tape measure, but you know what it's good for? It don't collapse. It's good for measuring these logs. A little wider one, a little bigger one. It's not something you carry around in your pocket, but it's great for this stuff. Now my marks, I'm going to just trim off these ends. I'm going to set everything up, and I'm going to show you me steaming it. Okay, I got two really nice staves out of that red oak. And I got to tell you, so far it's a pleasure to work with this wood. Don't know how the bow is going to be, but the wood is a pleasure to work with. I'll show you my steamer setup. This is my Wagner steam tube setup. And this here, that heavy-duty PVC is quite expensive, but this is a drain pipe inside, has a little coating. It looks black in there. It's cheap. I forget how much it was, but it was fairly inexpensive. And what I have here is, when you buy the Wagner steamer, it comes with a fitting. So I have an end cap, okay, and the end cap, I have a drain hole in the bottom, a drip hole, and this is a support, because as this gets so hot in its cheap plastic caps, they'll bend, they'll sag. So you just give it a little crutch, a little support there, and that's it, you're good. Now when you buy this Wagner steamer and you plug it in, you're going to say, what's this thing broke? Because there's no lights, no nothing, and it takes about 10 minutes, and then after about 10 minutes, you'll hear it work. So if you buy one of these, don't plug it in like I did. I said, what the hell's going on with this thing? It ain't working. Just give it some time, and steam will come on. So this tube here is great. I left, there's no dowels through it. It's just a tube, and the sole purpose of this tube is for taking winter bark off of staves. And I found out that through trial and error, I had a stave in here, and I was softening up the winter bark using a draw knife. Well, somebody came, I don't remember if it was the mailman, whoever, or package delivery, and I was talking to the guy, and then I realized, that stave was in this tube for an hour and 15 minutes, or an hour and 10 minutes. And at that hour and 10 minute mark is like the magic time. I took out the stave, and I realized you could peel that winter bark cambium right off, like a banana, like it was in the spring. So once this gets going, we're going to put the stave in, one of those staves in, and an hour and 10 minutes, I'll show you what happens. Always make sure that you check the log diameter and thickness, that it'll go into this tube. I had to do a little trimming, just take a little bit off. I was a little bit off of my measurements. So I just took it on a band, instead of taking it off with a draw knife, I just took it on a bandsaw and took a little thin shaving off, and it fits. The other thing is, we're cooking this now for an hour and 10 minutes. And when it's done, it in here is going to be really hot. We're going to get pot holders. And you always have pot holders with this to pull out the log. But what you could do is, when you have a log and it's inside, once you're done, you pull a plug on the steamer, you can pop this cap off and let it lay on the floor, and you can push it through. You can push the log through so you can grab it. But lately I've been able to, like, go in with a screwdriver and pull out the log and grab it with the pot holder. And then I'm going to throw it on that bench. I'll have the bench all cleaned up and ready to go. And we'll put it on that bench, and we're going to use could use anything. You could actually just use a screwdriver or a chisel and just start peeling that bark and cambium, and it should rip right off. Here we go. Look at this. You wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it, right? There we go. Okay. Well, we'll have to figure this out. I violated a little bit here. And the reason I took it out like 5 minutes earlier. You got to leave that steamer stop steaming. You could see the water gurgling. It got too low. I guess I didn't fill it quite enough. But what I'm going to do is just scrape this off with a draw knife now. There we go, pristine back. Look at that. Okay, you got to keep this going. It has to be an hour and 10, actually an hour and 15 minutes, leave it. Okay, but we got a nice pristine back. That's winter bark, peels right off. Show you what I accomplished today. I'm gonna put in, or you've seen it already, that the first time I didn't have enough water in the Wagner steamer. I thought I filled it up, but I kind of like panicked because it was less than an hour and it wasn't steaming no more. You could see the water like percolating, boiling in the thing, and it stopped. And I went, oh, I got to go rip the back off now. What I should have did was fill it up and let it stay a little longer, but I got caught up in the moment. I took it out and I peeled the back off, and part of it stuck because it didn't steam long enough. All right, and you saw that. So then that was this one. All right, so I had to take it down because it had some wood tears. And look, I got a bow blank out of it, you see? Okay, now this one here, I made sure it was filled up, made sure I had enough water in it, and this is a pristine back. Okay, all you do is, regardless of how it looks, you draw a bow on this and cut it out, and this is the back of the bow. All right, so that's it. There we are. All right, so this one here, you'll see on the video, well, you've seen already on the video, one failure, but it wasn't because I made a bow out of it. And this, the second attempt, was a pristine back on this. So you could take wood with winter bark, steam it, but it's very important. It's very important that when you have it in the tube, it's already steaming, and you leave it for that hour and 10 minutes. Leave it for an hour and 15 even, just to be sure. And don't put it in until it's like percolating. You hear it running. It's steaming good, okay? Very important. Longer, better. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Every day you wake up is a good day. Get out, make a bow, and shoot.